and it's therefore my real honor and pleasure to introduce our first speaker, Charmain Brown. Charmain's a member of the Stem Cell Network's Patient Committee, an educator, a researcher, and a caregiver advocate. And today she'll share her family's experience navigating the Canadian healthcare system to access an innovative gene therapy for her own child. Charmain's story really is a very powerful reminder of of why these conversations matter and of what is at stake when promising therapies succeed or fail to reach the people who need them. So please join me in welcoming Charmain.
Good morning, everyone. There we go. Yes, that was a call and response. Yeah, in Caribbean culture, that's a very important piece of what we do. If somebody says good morning to you, you're expected to say good morning back. And same with good night as well. So thank you for for indulging me a little bit. So, first of all, let me thank Joanna and the team for inviting me today. I consider this a complete honor to be able to share with you a little bit about my family's journey and the impact of that journey, and how healthcare has definitely, and gene therapy has revolutionized, completely changed my children's lives. And the work that you do, how important it is, even though sometimes they may seem so small, and know that your work is about people like me. But anyway, we'll get into it. So this is the journey of how to get to Gucci vision. And you're going to find out what that means and how that plays in, how Gucci vision comes in a second. So a little bit about myself. I'm a somewhat recently retired educator from the York Region District School Board, which is one of the largest school boards in Ontario. I had the pleasure of doing lots of things in that space. I spent 29 years in the schoolhouse and loved every single minute of it. And they had to basically drag me out of the schoolhouse at the end of my time when I decided to leave. I'm currently an assistant professor at Tyndall University, which is a private faith-based university in central Toronto. I teach in the Bachelor of Education program, so I have the privilege of teaching and mentoring and inspiring the next generation of teachers. I've also taught in the Bachelor of Education program at York University and at OISE at University of Toronto. So teaching and learning and instruction and care and concern are at the heart of everything that I do. I've also done work for the Ontario College of Teachers, which oversees educators across the province, so particularly in work in anti-Black racism and equitable access to education for all students, as well as done much curriculum development, additional qualification development, and teaching instruction to teachers across the province who are willing and open to expanding their teaching experience. So that's a little bit about what I do in the day, but this is the nucleus of who I am, my family. I'm married to an incredible partner, and have two incredible children. And really, this is about all of us, but we're going to focus today on my two children, Jenna and Adam. So Jenna and Adam were born with retinitis pigmentosa, which is a genetic eye disorder that has a few features and it looks different for everyone. So it's kind of like a spectrum in a way. It'll affect different people in different ways. And both of my children, though they were both born with it, that means that my husband and I carry the gene recessively and we won the lottery twice. So they have limited peripheral vision, so they can't see things at the side or down. So basically, when they were little children, when things would drop on the floor, it's like it fell off the face of the earth. So like that jelly bean rolled off the table and onto the ground. Okay, I guess it's gone forever, kind of thing. They have difficulty with color differentiation. So blue and brown look the same. Red and pink might look the same. So we've had to come up with different strategies on how they dress themselves because there was a lot of like pink and green and kind of stuff going on at some points. Their depth perception. So if they were, when they were younger and they would be crossing the street and going from a sidewalk to like a street, they would kind of tap their toe as if they were going into a pool to see if it was going to dip down. and then night blindness. And this is probably the one that's most profound. So if we were in this conference room, we turned off all the lights, we'd still probably be, for most people who have normative vision, we would probably still be able to navigate, see where the tables are. We wouldn't bump into them. For them, if the lights went off, it would be like everything turned black. So they wouldn't be able, it'd be challenging. They had some light perception, but it'd be really, really challenging. So they were born with it. We found out Jenna was diagnosed at about 4 months, 6 months, and my son at 1 month. I knew right away. And it's not something that you can kind of tell when they're so little. It just so happened. I think part of it is being an educator. I observed children a lot, so that came into it. But it really was just a happenstance with Jenna. So my sister-in-law also had a baby. We had our babies around the same time. And the first time that we kind of got together to, share our babies and whatever, when I held her baby looked right at me. Like I could see she was seeing me. And all that time when I would hold my daughter, Jenna, I felt like we were totally bonded, but she was looking through me. And then that was kind of the catalyst. Something's going on here. And that started the process. So, but even with their eye disorder, though there have been barriers in terms of their education, how they access their education, the supports that they require in order to be able to function like all the other students in their classes, it was a real challenge, particularly for me. And because I'm in the system, I know what is available. I know what they what they're required to have, and what should be accessible to them. But I also think about those parents who don't have that background knowledge and don't have that power and privilege of understanding the system to be able to navigate it the same way that I did. So I know that my children were privileged in that. But even with that, they are very, like, they're kids, okay? Like, they're just regular kids. But like, wow, the things that they've been able to do. My son's a third-degree black belt in Taekwondo. He competed competitively with sighted athletes. My daughter is a swimmer. They're both very much in the arts. They both love music. My son produces music. They play, they sing, all the things, love to do things with their hand. They've done all the things like any other child would do. They just had to do it differently and with more support. Dr. Han and Dr. Vincent were the two doctors that worked with us from day one. So Dr. Han was the one who diagnosed our children and has journeyed with us. And within the first year of us kind of working with her and her examining the kids, and at the time we didn't even know what was going on. We were just kind of like, give us answers. But she did say something to me that stuck with me, and I'll never ever forget the look on her face and how she looked at me when she said it. She said, "They will not live their life with this. There's going to be something that's going to change this for them." And I bawled. And even thinking about it now, I want to cry, because that was the hope that I needed to know that it's going to be okay. And they were just months old at the time, right? So all the stuff about Taekwondo and that wasn't even in my vision. That wasn't even in my path for them. I was in the deficit, kind of thinking, what's going to happen to them? Where are they going to go? How are they going to make friends? And how are they going to do school? And so I had to do the research. My husband and I had to do the background to find out how to be able to support them. But she said they're not going to live their life with that. And so when my daughter was 7, she was selected to be part of the gene therapy clinical trial from the work of Dr. Jacobson, who's an incredible human being and recently passed away just as the therapy was being rolled out in Canada. And she was one of 2 children who were part of the clinical trial. So we would go to Philadelphia a couple of times a year, from the age of 7 to the age of 12. And then at 12, she had the gene therapy. It was amazing, but nerve-wracking, because as a parent, you're sitting in a conference room similar to this with ethics and scientists and doctors, and they're saying, sign these papers, and this is going to happen to you, and this might happen, and this might occur, and there might be blindness, and there might be death, and it was really overwhelming. And Jenna had to be there, and she's a 12-year-old grade 6 child at this time. It was tremendously overwhelming. And actually, the surgery was slated for the next day, and she had we had to postpone it because just those conversations were so overwhelming for her that she got scared. And so her body started reacting and she got a fever. So then of course they couldn't do the surgery at that time. So even how we interact with our patients are so important, particularly when they're young. But I will have to say, I have to give my Jenna lots of what we call big up, because the amount of testing that she's done, the amount of time she's been in front of that dome, like in the picture that you've seen, pressing buttons, being dark adapted for 10, 12, 14 hours where you can't see anything. I don't even know how she was able to do it. But during this time, my son, he's 4 years younger, he was like, when am I getting mine? When am I getting mine? How come she gets it and I don't get it? But there was no way he'd be able to have done the amount of testing that 7, 8 hours a day for like at the time, 7, 8, 9-year-old with minimal breaks, like an hour lunch break. And that was it. There's no way my son could have ever have done that at all. So we're just so thankful that Jenna really sacrificed. Like she sacrificed not just for our family, but for hundreds, maybe millions, thousands of people doing that work, plus all the other people who did the clinical trial. And so she received it in one eye in 2012 when she was 12 years old. And then we continued to go back for follow-up visits once or twice a year with the doctors and the scientists. And again, 7 hours again to do that kind of work. So then the therapy, which I'm assuming got sold to a pharmaceutical company and was named Luxturna, got approved just in generally in the United States in 2027, and then it came to market in 2018 and approved in Canada in 2020. When our doctor, Dr. Hayon, when of course she's up on what was happening with that, and she called us immediately. It's been approved, so get ready. The surgery is going to happen in the next 4 weeks. And so we were all excited. They were getting us prepped. We were getting prepped. We were making all the arrangements with school and work and all the things. And then it's like, oh, they're not approving it. The government's not approving it. The OHIP is not approving funding it. And this is $1 million surgery per eye. And you have to have 2 vectors, two of the vector that gets injected within the eye for you to move forward. So in my son's case, who needed both eyes done, we're looking at $4 million. I'm sorry, I don't have that. Right. And so they thought, okay, it'll just take a couple of months. It actually took years. And so during this time, my son is still, oh, when am I going to get that? When am I going to get the surgery? I need to get the surgery. By this point, he is now in high school, I think grade 9 or 10 maybe. And he started losing further vision. And I remember him calling me one time at school. He went to a boarding school for the children, for the W. Ross Macdonald School, which is the provincial school for the blind and visually impaired. And so he went there for high school. And he called me one day in a panic. He goes, I can't see my screen. Like in class, he's calling me. I can't see my screen. I saw it yesterday and I can't see it today. So we went through all the things, and when he got tested, he came home. We went to Dr. Hayon, he got tested, and he had lost some vision. And usually with retinitis pigmentosa, you lose vision at major life stages. So from babyhood to toddler, from toddler to child, and then from child to teen. So he lost some as he was in the stage of puberty. So he was kind of in the anxiety piece. So Dr. Hayon said, well, you've got a platform on social media. You should tell your social media audience. And he did. And this is what he said. I hope this has sound. Oh.
You want to know something amazing? Tell ya, but since more than 3 people follow me now, I feel like I should make this more well known. So for real, I was born with a disability called retinitis pigmentosa. It's a genetic disorder that makes it hard to see things in the dark, see things on the side, read smaller print. It's basically just Walmart brand vision. What's scary about it, though, is that it progressively gets worse as you age, until eventually you start seeing that. But wait, here's the amazing part. A special gene therapy has been approved in Canada that can stop the progression of RP. So, right? Well, if you ask the Ontario government, that's not the case. The surgery hasn't been made fully available yet because the Ontario government thinks it's so expensive. Now, I hate the idea of begging for views, but could you please share this video? Because this surgery is well worth it. And I'm definitely not the only one who needs it.
So that video went viral and people were commenting, because he mentioned about having Walmart brand vision. And so then everybody started commenting, get this guy Gucci vision. We got to get this guy Gucci vision. And so that's where that came from. And then Fighting Blindness Canada, which is an incredible organization that centers research around various eye disorders and all things vision, excuse me, collaborated with Adam and said, we've got to jump on this. So they created an online, what would you call it? Where you can sign up and send a letter to the government to let them know that they need to approve it immediately, that OHIP needs to approve it really immediately, release the funds for it to be accessible to everyone. And it did really well. And we were about to get to go to Queen's Park to have a rally, and Adam and myself were going to speak at this rally, and just at that time, it finally got approved. So because of time, I'm not going to show the next video, which just shows, talks about our journey a little bit more and talks about the different organizations that the money impact of people with vision impairment on our society, that actually approving the therapy will save, though it seems like it's a lot of money, right, initially, but it will save money over time, because what the gene therapy actually does is it halts the progression of retinitis pigmentosa. So it halts it from getting worse, and it improves some of the night blindness. And so that led to almost every media outlet interviewing, asking him about it because of the video going viral. And so we did lots of interviewing both before and after when Adam finally got the surgery. Yeah, so in March 2023, and when they approved it, they said, we're approving it for, I think at the time, it was 10 people. So they put a number on it. And so because Adam was at the top of the list, he was actually the one, he was named as the #1 person to receive it in Canada when it first got approved, but then that got all messed up because the government didn't approve it. So it was like, yay for us, but what about everybody else? This isn't about putting a number on it and we're only going to release funds for a certain amount. That's not equitable access. And then how about those? We're very fortunate because we happen to live in Toronto, and so we're near to sick kids and all that. How about families that are in Winnipeg, one of which I'm in contact with, whose child is eligible for this, but it's a challenge of how do they get the funds to get to sick kids, to be able to stay there, to be able to do the back and forth with all of those pieces come into place. So they did have the surgery. Both of them had it. Janet had it on the second eye that she didn't have the clinical trial on, and Adam had it on both eyes with about a 2-week gap in between surgeries. And so March 2023 was a busy month for us, for sure. But the doctors were amazing, and the results were absolutely life-changing. And life-changing in the little, what might seem very mundane. Here's a quick example. So in our house, we have a large pantry door that when it's opened, it blocks an entrance into the kitchen. And so growing up, Adam would tear down the stairs and come running into the kitchen because he's got to get something to eat. And we'd always have to be like, the door's open, like to remind him, or he's like slam, like face plant right onto the door. And after the surgery and after healing, when he came down the stairs and I heard him coming down, and I was about to say the door's open, he pushed it before I could say, he closed it. And I started bawling. And he's like, what's your problem? What's your problem? I'm like, you closed the pantry door. He could see it, that it was open so that he could close it. It was those little miracles that made me so grateful for the work that those of you that I'm looking at right now are doing every day in your office, in your labs, in your hospitals, in your clinics, in your educational spaces, wherever you are. You're making a huge difference for people. And so I'm eternally, eternally grateful to those of you in the space and those that you represent that aren't in this space for the work that you are doing and how it's changing people's lives, even with the barriers. And so that's great that we have this space today to be able to talk about them because they are there. And parents may not even know what all of them are because all you're focused on is your child or focused on yourself and what you're going through. But we know that the barriers are there, and we're so thankful that you're considering them and how to break them down. So my son told me to tell you, like, okay, don't forget to subscribe and follow smash that like button on his, and they're doing great. My daughter Jenna is 26 now. She's taking library technician at Seneca College, and Adam is doing his master's. He's 22 and he's doing his master's at the University of Toronto in digital media and sound engineering. He's a voice actor, so you've probably heard him on McDonald's commercials, Desjardins, Rogers. He's in tons of video games, voicing characters in video games and things like that. And he's got a really great social media platform. So feel free if you like comedy and you like silliness and all things video games, that's where you would go. So again, thank you again for listening and for the work that you do. It's really important. And as a parent, I thank you. I thank you.